Hello everyone, it's Adam at MTG, here to play more Magic the Gathering Arena and continue my series on new player quick tips. This one we will talk briefly about the options in Arena. So assuming that you now have a better understanding of how Magic works, one of the things that is the intention or the design of Arena is to give players a sort of a helpful hand in advancing the game, moving through turns, and playing sort of a I want to say a video game style where you have the ability to kind of play Magic casually. Magic is very intensive as far as the priorities of given situations, um, effects on the stack that have to be responded to, and if you don't respond in the right time, then you lose an opportunity or a window. And you probably learned a lot about that in the tutorials about just how to play Magic in general. Another example is Magic the Gathering Online, which is a sort of a paper simulator, if you will. It doesn't do anything on its own. You have to push the buttons and go through the phases and click the steps. And sometimes for new players, it's tedious and it makes the learning curve or the entry of the game a little bit difficult. When you're playing with if you've ever taught someone how to play Magic in paper, you're constantly telling them, nope, nope, hold on. You're constantly stopping them from doing what they want to do. And the reason for that is the exchange of priorities in Magic, right? You have an opportunity to do something, and then you have to extend that opportunity. Once you decide or not decide to make an action or take an action, then your opponent gets an opportunity. Now, you think that's pretty normal. However, because it's a game of priorities, just because you can't do something doesn't still mean there's a stop in that priority in the game of Magic. So let's say I have all my mana tapped, there's nothing I can do. I can, of course, I point to my opponent and says, it's your turn. However, Magic doesn't know that, and my opponent doesn't know that until I extend that priority to them. So I guess the best way to explain it is Arena tries to handle that automatically. And that can be awkward for times when you want to either bluff or you want to take an action that is not normally an action that you would take. For instance, counterspelling your own spell. Let's say there's a position in the game where you're about to lose the game, but you have a spell like Absorb in your hand that counterspells and also when you cast it, you gain 3 life. Well, you can't cast Absorb without a spell to counter. So maybe there's a situation in a game where you're going to cast a spell and then you're going to want to counter it with your own Absorb. Well, Arena will not let you do that because Arena doesn't assume you ever want to counter your own spells, so it'll just cast the spell and say go. So you have to set up stops and different priorities in your options or manually in your gameplay to compensate for that. Now that might sound a little bit difficult and complicated and convoluted, and it is. But I just want to give you the heads up that you can play Magic in various ways, even the most tedious ways, and putting all your stops and things like that every turn to give you the opportunity. And then once you get used to it, you'll kind of know how to adjust your game. And basically, it's based on the deck you play too. Maybe you play a deck that you want stops or you want something to happen, and this is where you go. So you've got a couple of gameplay options here by default. These are the check marks, and I suggest going through here, and you can use all of these as your hotkeys. These will tell you how to sort of do all the things that I'm talking about. But the hotkeys are a good thing to learn. So undoing, passing until response, hold full control, show phases, cycle chat. I don't know what that means. Cycle chat. Tab. And of course your gameplay trigger things. Now, auto assign damage is a good one that typically checked. Just let the software figure out how to assign damage. What it's going to do is going to put the most damage to kill the creatures when you're ordering them. You still have to order them properly. The reason you wouldn't want to auto assign is maybe you have now you can avoid damaging certain creatures If that's an important thing for you, sometimes it is. Sometimes you don't want to just kill everything that blocks. So that's pretty neat. Um, Gameplay warnings, I'd say keep those on. Auto apply card styles. Yeah, I guess if you have card styles, but that seems like I want to do it myself. Disabling emotes is one that most people love to do because they don't want it to interact at all with your opponent, who typically is saying good game or your go or whatever they might want to be communicating to you. There's a lot of debate over this emotes button. You can also mute them directly when you're in the game. You can click on their avatar and there's a mute option there. This just says nobody talks to me ever. No emotes ever. It'll also shut down pets, and sometimes, I don't know about performance, but just sometimes people want their pets shut off so they won't make whining dogs or meowing cats or whatever you might have, owls or Jace being a puppet. Sometimes just disable them. That sounds like I think overall you're better off taking these away. Show phases. That's interesting. Show phases and combat step icons in the game. I'm going to click that because I think that's something that you want to see. Auto ordered triggered abilities, the same thing. You can, when triggered abilities hit the stack, you can order them. If you're given that option, you can order your abilities and how they impact the game. So pro players probably have that turned off and they do it manually. You can just let Arena do it if you feel comfortable. Auto tap, you don't have a choice. Editable in match. Okay, so every match you can go and remove the auto tapper. Now, what the auto tapper does is the auto tapper is another controversial robot here in Arena. And the auto tapper, what it does is it tries to use the mana and based on the information that the game takes in and says this is your best mana to use right now. And then you'll find that the auto tapper often does exactly what you don't want it to do. You should never be surprised, which often I am on stream, when the auto tapper hoses you. And the reason that it hoses you is it doesn't know all the. It basically is just the lesson in AI compared to the human brain. The human brain can look at so many different things and calculate and analyze what it needs to do. When you hover over a spell and you're about to cast it, you click on it, it'll highlight the land that it's going to use for that spell. If any of those lands are not the ones you want to use, then you're going to have to do it manually. And we can show you a demonstration of that in game at another time. But then you just click your land, click. It puts it in the mana pool. And then when you cast your spell, it uses the mana that's in your pool rather than tapping anything by itself. So that's something that you're probably going to learn the hard way. But yeah, enjoy that. Let's see, what else? I think that's it. That covers the gameplay modifiers, graphics, nothing special, audio. Of course, your account button down here is going to also give you some information. You're going to be able to know what your currency setting is based on your location, I would imagine. Detailed logs, this check mark is intended to provide detailed logs when you're doing actually you need that for the plugins anyways, but you want to log all of your game information in order to use these third-party softwares. Block incoming friends requests. If you don't want to have any friends, you click that. Otherwise, people can say, hello, join me, be my friend. Make sure that's not checked if you want to join friends. Drop rates, that's interesting. See what this does. Talks to you about your booster packs and your wildcard distribution. That's pretty cool. So there's lots of good information here. Read up. Make sure you also are very aware of the codes of conduct and terms and conditions. Do all that stuff. Be responsible gamer. Audio settings aren't really that important, although they kind of are. So the reason audio settings are important is you've got your Planeswalker voices. and that's controlled here. I turn them off because I've heard them so many times I don't want to hear them over and over. But some people like to hear the Planeswalkers do their thing. And you know what? Support the voice actor community. They've done a lot of hard work. Just max this out. Put it on the very top and let your voice actor friends know they've done a great job in Arena. And they're fun, they're cool. But once you're tired of them, you can shut it off. Master volume music, same thing. You don't need the game music unless you want to be extra dramatic in your games and it gets really intense. Sound effects, of course, you want that. You want to hear the explosions and the punches and the claw marks and all the things that audio engineers have worked really hard at. The birds chirping and the cats meowing. So jam on those. Ambiance also, that's just the background sounds of the jungles and whatever else sort of, maybe it's the map. But play audio when minimized. I don't know why that matters. It's just in the background. Okay, so we've covered all the options that I can think of. If you have any additional questions, click on buttons and figure things out. Or you can obviously ask in the comments below, and I will help you any way I can. Hopefully you're learning from this video and have a great, or this video series. Have a great rest of your day. Be good to each other, be good to yourselves, and until next time, we will cover actual importing decks next. I know I've been kind of waiting on that, and that's the next step. So, until next time.